My God, you'd think by now somebody would come up with a Superman game, or at least a good idea for a Superman game. But the only thing I hear YouTubers doing is complaining about Superman games, giving bad ideas about Superman games, or saying that it's impossible to make. And I hope you guys are okay with these clips, because I want you guys to see them too, in case you guys haven't.
For some reason, a lot of people seem to think that this is the most difficult thing on the planet, and it is not possible, and there's no way you could ever make a Superman game work.
It's too hard to make a Superman video game. It just can't be made. It shouldn't even be attempted.
With like a fight against a villain, and Superman has to use his solar flare ability, which makes him lose his powers, and so that leaves him like a little bit weaker, and he's not in his prime.
Why is it so hard for people to make a good Superman game?
The reason why people think that it's so difficult to make a Superman game, or the reason why they can't make a good Superman game, is because they can't think past his powers. And that's the problem.
But the first thing that we wanted to go over was how Superman in a game needs to have all of his abilities, and that needs to work well within the game. Superman actually has a problem with fighting someone, or there's like actually something that can be exposed, and that's something that is a challenge with that character.
I mean, if Superman wanted to, he punches a guy into orbit.
Right.
So, like, you can't have Superman go up against, Joe the Mugger.
Alright, sit back, YouTubers, because I'm about to school you on how to make a Superman game. Let's look at a game like Elden Ring, for instance. Going into Elden Ring, do you start out at first level, or do you go straight in at max level with all your maxed out gear? Of course not. Why would you go into a video game with maxed out abilities? Why would you start a video game like that? This makes for an absolutely boring game. I mean, think about it. Who was Superman before he was Superman? He was Clark Kent, right? Did Clark Kent have all of his abilities? No, he didn't. So why would you start out a Superman game where Superman has all of his abilities? You wouldn't start out any other game anywhere, except for obviously a Spider-Man game. But a Spider-Man game is a little easier to make. Spider-Man isn't as powerful as Superman, and he isn't as destructive as Superman is. Take into consideration the fight scenes, for instance, or the gameplay where you're going to fight an enemy in a city, right? Superman, being the caring person that he is, isn't going to try to hurt people, right? So we all know the concept of bullet time, and we all know that Superman can think a lot faster than any human. He's like a supercomputer. And do you think Superman just mindlessly punches people through buildings? No. He probably pauses for a second, uses his X-ray vision, makes sure that nobody is behind the target, and then lets his punch go. This would keep him from killing any humans. This could be part of the game, but that's later when we explain the abilities and all of that other stuff. My idea is to give Superman a skill tree that he has to level up as he progresses throughout the game. Superman has a lot more abilities than they show in the movies or in most media that is out there. Superman's more than heat vision, invulnerability, strength, X-ray vision, cold breath. Those are just a few of just his normal abilities. Let's go over Superman's powers. He has super strength, invulnerability, flight, super speed, accelerated healing, energy absorption, which is the yellow sun, shape-shifting, which is he's displayed shape-shifting his face to look like other people in the comic books, telekinesis, super hypnotist. He can make holograms of himself, self-replicate, reincarnation, space-time travel. He's thrown that hologram thing off of his chest in one of the movies. X-ray vision, telescopic vision, super hearing, cold breath, super breath, heat vision, and obviously he has stamina, endurance, and durability. And that's almost all of the stuff that he's done. Almost. Not that I want this in the game, but he's even shot rainbows out of his fingers. So I suggest starting out with a skill tree, and with him having abilities that Clark Kent would have growing up. Now, do I want to make him a teenager? No, I don't want to make him a teenager. I want to make him an adult, but he hasn't gained his abilities yet. Now, obviously, the storyline is going to have to be changed so that we can have a fluid video game from beginning to end. The thing is, what do you want out of a video game? The main thing is replayability, and I've already thought of that. The fun thing about a skill tree is that you can be given points to put into that skill tree, but not enough to complete the skill tree. You could go about it that way, or you could just give all of the points for that skill tree. And you also want creativity. You want to be able to play it your way, right? So who says that Superman has to fly? Who would want Superman not to fly? I don't know. But given the skill tree, you could create Superman the way that you wanted to create him. And this would be one aspect of replayability. Now, as you progress through the game, certain skills from the skill tree will open up throughout the game, because you don't want to be too powerful too fast. Because what I can tell from Elden Ring and its popularity, it seems that people don't like games that are super easy. It seems that they like games that are a little difficult. It makes you feel like you've accomplished more. And of course, you want DLCs and a large map. And the DLCs I have in mind would be to put Wonder Woman, The Flash, and Batman in the game. 3 DLCs with 3 new characters to play sounds like good DLCs to me. And with 3 new characters to play, that opens up new locations and new maps. Because Batman, Wonder Woman, and The Flash aren't located in Metropolis. Now, the locations I'm thinking of are Metropolis, Gotham City, the Mesquite, Central City, Gateway City, Washington, D.C., the Moon, and of course, Darkseid's homeworld, Apocalypse. I think one of the biggest problems with the Superman game is, how does he take damage? Even Clark Kent in, say, Smallville was pretty invulnerable. And of course, if Clark Kent went up against Darkseid, then of course, Darkseid's going to kill him. He is going to bleed, he is going to take damage, and he is going to die, because he's not fully developed yet. This is a big reason for the change in the storyline. You'll have to tally up all of Superman's villains and try to fit them into a timeline of progression, which means main missions, side missions, story missions, mini-bosses, and bosses. And of course, reoccurring villains that come back even stronger. But before I go into how damage and health bars work, I want to talk about the skill tree. As you progress in the skill tree, the powers aren't going to be maxed out. You will have to level those powers up as you're leveling up. You will be given certain points to put into the power level of those powers and ability. Let's talk about heat vision and cold breath, for instance. Say you're given points to put into the abilities to power them up as you level up. Now, you want to put points into your heat vision, but you don't want to put points into your cold breath. The cold breath is going to be obviously weaker than the heat vision because you didn't put any points into it. Now, what I would suggest is that as you're leveling up these abilities, it opens up specials. So say there's a regular beam from your heat vision that burns and does so much damage, and like a max, like Solar Blast for the last progression, where it lets out this big burst of heat vision that can do a massive amount of damage, but that depletes your energy. Anyways, that's how I would make a skill tree, where you level up the abilities and give those abilities specials as they progress in more power. Now to one of the hardest parts, health bars. Obviously, everybody needs to have a health bar, including Superman, because he can die. But I would not only introduce a health bar, I would introduce a durability bar, a stamina bar, and a solar energy bar. The health bar is as it sounds, a health bar. You deplete the health, you die. Stamina bar, also easy. Anytime you physically do something, use an ability, it depletes stamina. Even your heat vision. If you use your heat vision, it depletes your energy bar. Your stamina bar. If you fly, it depletes your stamina bar. Not very much, because obviously we know he can fly super fast all around. So when it comes to flight, stamina would probably be the lowest taken away. Solar energy bar. This is the amount of power he has to put into his abilities. Anytime he flies, anytime he uses his heat vision, anytime he uses his cold breath, his X-ray vision, any of those abilities that he has, that he uses, depletes that solar energy bar, and he has to get it back somehow, whether it be flying up close to the sun or just not engaging in any activities. So while you're messing around with your skill tree and it's daytime out, I would make day and night cycles. Anytime that you're messing around with your skill tree, he would be absorbing energy from the sun, and that would replenish his solar energy bar. The Fortress of Solitude. This is going to be where you go to level up your skill tree. I would even suggest that the Fortress of Solitude have some type of danger room in it, so to speak, like the X-Men, where you can practice defeating enemies. I think this would be a fun side thing to do. And you could also experience the Fortress of Solitude the way Superman would experience the Fortress of Solitude. So I think they should have a large library of things for you to view in the Fortress of Solitude, where your father talks to you about certain things, like, say, enemies like Darkseid, Darkseid's history, his family, stuff about the Phantom Zone, who's in the Phantom Zone. Just a compilation of things from the DC universe for you to browse so that you can waste time, I guess. Especially when you need a break from the game and it's getting frustrating trying to beat this boss and you can't do it. Maybe you want to just take a minute and do something else. This will give you something to do. How do you damage Superman's health bar? The durability bar. The durability bar is going to be the most powerful thing that you're going to be able to have. You're going to be able to put a lot of points into this durability bar. Now you can choose to spec into something like the health bar or your stamina bar or your solar energy bar, but when you get hit by a character like Darkseid and you die, you'll know that you should have spent it on the durability points. I would treat Wonder Woman and the Flash in similar manners. But the Flash, for instance, gets his powers from the Speed Force. And you could argue Wonder Woman gets her powers from the gods. So I would have to come up with something that gives Wonder Woman her powers. Now the Flash, on the other hand, would need something like energy bars that would have enough stuff in it to keep his metabolism going. And those could be made with the help of Superman and Batman at the Fortress of Solitude. Batman is going to be the hardest, because if Batman gets into a fight with a Superman level villain, he's obviously going to be killed. And you're not going to be able to spec the points in durability the way that you would for Superman and Wonder Woman. The same thing goes with the Flash. But the Flash, however, would have the Speed Force armor that he could use for his durability, and he could spec points into the Speed Force durability that I would give him if I were making the video game. Batman, on the other hand, I would have Superman give him access to the Fortress of Solitude to create new Batman suit. I mean, I just sat around for a week just thinking about this stuff. I haven't been thinking about this stuff forever. I mean, I don't know why nobody could think of all of this stuff that I just thought of in just a week's time. And I've thought of even more stuff than that. The stories, all of the villains. I mean, I've thought of a lot of stuff that I probably won't even put into this video. So, I mean, Warner Brothers, if you want to hire me as a creative director, I'm cool with that. I also wanted to put Cyborg and Aquaman into the game as DLCs, but, I mean, that's just probably way too much stuff already. Just having the Flash, Wonder Woman, and Batman along with Superman in the game. Because I don't know anything about game development. I don't know how much space all of this stuff would take up. Especially the maps. I have no idea how much space the maps would take up in a video game. Or even the mechanics behind the fighting. Just a lot. There's a lot of stuff that I would put in this game. And there is something I would definitely put into the game, just because I thought it was so cool when I was looking stuff up. I don't know how many of you have ever heard of platinum kryptonite, but platinum kryptonite turns any human being into a Kryptonian. And Batman was given this by Superman. Batman, of course, gave it away to somebody, but in this video game, if I was to be able to make it, he would definitely not give it away. That's going to be it for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry about the kids' noises in the background. I have 3 of them. And hopefully I can make another video explaining a little more about the Superman game. If you guys like, leave comments down below, let me know. I can throw out some more ideas on a Superman game. But until then, I'll see you in the next video.